Are we really gonna do this? Yes, it's super well organized. Yes, it's comparable to Europe's biggest events in everything except calendar date. It's not like the March through October temps in Oz make racing infeasible, or that Europe hasn't been hemorrhaging multi-day events for the past decade. Whatever. I'm ignoring the non-GC prelude because it's contributed nothing to the event other than Giovanni Visconti's broken leg, but Stage 1's late climb was sure to make things interesting. A long two-man break with a Sky-driven peloton making the catch around 16k, and Garmin's Nathan Haas and his Pythons taking over pacemaking for the majority of the climb. Sky's Richie Porte made a probing acceleration around 200 meters to the top, countered decisively by Lotto Belisale's Adam Hansen, whose biggest challenger for the KOM was an overly enthusiastic crowd. Aren't the cops supposed to be keeping people out of the road? Hansen would push the advantage on the descent, but soon enough Lotto formed up to lead out Andre Greipel. Green Edge's Simon Gerrans loves these reduced finishes, though, and slides off teammate Daryl Impey's wheel to box out Astana's Francesco Gavazzi right behind Greipel. The German waits until about 150 meters to go, but seems a bit overgeared, and Gerrans, who carried about 30 pounds less than Greipel did up that last climb, puts on a nice 50-meter pop to take the win. Stage 2 finished on a hilly little circuit that would take some of the pure sprinters out of the picture, though nonetheless some commendable work here by Greipel defeating his own lawyer tabs. Sky's Ian Stannard struck out around 2 kilometers to go, but the follow-up attack from Porte under the red kite couldn't create separation. Gerrans seemed ideally positioned in the final meters, but left it a little late, hanging on Impey until Evans and Lampre's Diego Ulissi had already launched. Gero maybe even needed to tap the brake a little bit here. He made up ground on Evans, but Ulissi, despite taking the longest possible approach to the line, had an easy post-up as he took the win. Stage 3 was another late hill with a screaming descent into the finish, and all of 3 days into the 2014 World Tour season, Trek's Jens Vogt is in the break. Green Edge drove the pack, the catch came at 16 kilometers, and Sky and BMC took over on the actual climb. Porte made the first surge, but Evans clearly felt good, countering immediately and eventually dropping the Tasmanian half a kilometer later, then very nearly doing the same to the camera moto on the descent. Porte and Gerrans teamed up on the climb, but were eventually reeled in by the chasers, and after Cadell's solo win, were shut out of the bonus seconds on the sprint, putting Evans into the lead by 12 seconds on Gerrans and a whopping 33 on Porte. Finally, something resembling a sprint stage, but the crosswinds split it, leaving Kittel out of contention. The wind also mangled early breakaways, letting Gerrans claw back 3 seconds at the first bonus sprint. A two-man break finally went, BMC set tempo in the bunch until they realized the break might get caught, but it was too late and Green Edge sealed the deal with Gerrans getting another 2 seconds behind Haas at the next bonus sprint. Lotto Belisale put in a dominating lead out, but Impey gave Gerrans a great tow to get back into the mix. But perhaps too interested in staying out of the wind, the Aussie pins himself against the barriers, leaving the bonus finish seconds to Greipel, his teammate Rollins, and Cannondale's Elia Viviani, despite the Gorillas' underestimation of the crosswinds during his post-up. With a double ascent of a Cat 1 climb, Stage 5 was always going to be the GC decider. Jens was in the break all day and led the first time over the climb at 22.5 kilometers to go. AG2R's Axel Dumont brought the peloton across a minute later, which tied him with Hansen at the KOM competition, but some tiebreak rules I couldn't really find anywhere gave the Australian the overall. The pack made the catch, Green Edge whipped up the pace, Jens made one more attack, and as soon as the final climb started, BMC put the screws to the field. The early start did seem to catch Gero unawares, but the points leader clawed his way back into contact as the heads of state rode single file. Drapak's Wesley Sulzberger made the first move before being countered by Evans, who was in turn countered by Porte. Right here, Evans decides he's going for the stage, hammering after the Skyrider instead of marking his closest GC competition the next group down. But Porte was on another level, continuing to steam away while Gerrans and Ulissi reeled Evans back in just inside the final kilometer. Evans then began weaving and counterattacking, which really doesn't make sense when you consider all he has to do to secure the overall win is not lose time. But as Ulissi and Gerrans blow past Evans in the closing meters, one gets the sense that the BMC rider was desperately trying to avoid just such a sprint. Porte won by 10 seconds over Ulissi and Gerrans and 14 ahead of Evans, who'd been caught by the next group and finished 6th outside the time bonuses. Gerrans came into the day 7 seconds down, meaning that with the 4-second time bonus he secured in third, he'd knocked Evans off the top of the GC by a single second. Yeah, I know, you thought it was just a book title, right? As much as we might pretend that anything can happen, all 95 kilometers of Stage 6 were really only going to end one way. Europcar's Kevin Reza gets the WTF Were You Thinking Bro award, pulling off Greipel's wheel inside the final kilometer. Omega Pharma Quickstep's Mark Renshaw had no such hesitation, banging his way in and forcing Greipel around him moments later. But the Lotto leadout was just too good, and after a casual check back, Greipel responds to the two-headed Quickstep surge and cruises easily to the win. I'm Cosmo Catalano, and that's how the race was won.